Welcome to this episode of Faith and Logic. In this episode of Faith and Logic, we are going to discuss about some of the musical terms which is found in the book of Psalms. Musical terms found in the Psalms often refer to specific instructions for how the psalm should be sung, played, or performed. These terms reflect the ancient Hebrew musical practices and can be found in the headings or superscription of the Psalms. So whenever we read any Psalms, the Bible, it will tell you in the superscription or in the heading of some of the Psalms, and that is based on how they were sung, played, or performed, or some of the specific instructions. This terms gives us a glimpse into the rich musical tradition associated with Psalms, many of which were performed in a worship context with specific instrument and melodies guiding the expression of the Psalms themes. So many of these Psalms, they were sung with a specific instrument or in a specific melodies, and that is what the headings or the superscription will tell us. So let's look at some of the examples. First is Selah. So the meaning of Selah, the exact meaning is uncertain, but it is commonly believed to be a musical or a liturgical term. Psalms, typically the Jews used to sing this in the form of melodies, and they used to sing this as we sing any hymns in churches today. Whenever there is a break in the music, the Selah basically shows that you have to now pause for reflection. What you have just read or what you have just sung, you have to just pause for a reflection. For example, Psalms 3, verse 2, it says, "Many are saying for my soul, there is no salvation for him in God." And then it says Selah. So basically, after this line, there is a pause for contemplation or music break to let the word resonate. So what you just say, you just basically think about it. It's a reflection. Just pause for a reflection what you have just said. Now, next one is Maskil. The term Maskil is often associated with a contemplative or instructional psalm. So basically, this is instructional. It could refer to musical style, or a psalm that is meant to teach or impart wisdom. So, for example, Psalms 32, 1. In the superscription, you will see a Maskil of David in your Bible. Blessed is the one whose transgressions are forgiven, whose sins are covered. The psalm meant for reflection and teaching, likely with a slower, contemplative musical style. Let's look at the next one. This is also a very common one. It would say to the chief musician, for the director of music. And the meaning is that this phrase often appears in the superscription of the Psalms and indicates that the psalm is intended for public worship or to be performed by a choir group for musicians under the direction of a chief musician. So basically, this is often performed during the time of public worship, and it is led by a chief musician. The example of this type of a psalm would be Psalm 4:1. For the director of music with string instrument, a psalm of David. The psalm is intended to be sung by a choir or a leader with a string instrument accompanying the performance. Let's look at the next one, Gittith. The Gittith is believed to refer to a musical instrument or possibly a tune associated with the city of Gath. So there was a city, ancient city of Gath, and this particular, the word Gittith, that means it believed to be a musical instrument or possibly a tune associated with this particular city of Gath. Some scholars think it may refer to a string instrument, a specific type of string instrument. So this psalm is to be sung with that specific string of instrument. The example of this type of a psalm would be Psalms 8:1. In the superscription, you will see, for the director of music according to Gittith, a psalm of David. The psalm should be sung to a tune associated with Gittith, which may have been musical style from the Philistine city of Gath. So this has to do with the Philistine city of Gath. So a specific style of music or a specific type of string instrument that is being used to sing this type of psalm associated with the Philistine city of Gath. So that is Gittith. Let's look at the next one. Mahalath. The meaning of this term is uncertain, but it might refer to a particular melody or a style of singing. So many of this word has associated with a particular style of singing or a particular type of melody or the type of the instrument that has been used to sing this type of a psalm. So even an instrument used in the performance of the psalm. For example, Psalms 53. The superscription would say, for the director of music, according to Mahalath, a Maskil of David. So this Mahalath is a type of Maskil that we already saw in this presentation. Basically, it's an instruction. It's an instructional psalm. Maskil means an instructional psalm. A Mahalath, the psalm is to be sung to a tune or a melody known as Mahalath. Now the next one is Nehiloth. Like Mahalath, Nehiloth is a term that is likely related to the specific musical style or instrument. Though its exact meaning is unclear, Psalms 5:1, the superscription for the director of music. So in the superscription, it would say for the director of music to be accompanied by flute. So this particular psalm is to be sung specially accompanied by flute, a psalm of David. So this Nehiloth basically shows a specific musical style or instrument, in this case a flute. The psalm is intended to be played with flutes, suggesting a specific musical arrangement or style. Let's look at the next one, Higgaion. The meaning, the word often translated as meditation or contemplation. So it could be a musical or liturgical term signifying the type of instrumental interlude or pause for reflection. So this is also similar to the first one that we saw, and that is Selah. That is also showing some type of pause for reflection. But this particular word, Higgaion, is translated as meditation. For example, Psalms 9, verse 16. The Lord is known by the judgment he executes. The wicked are ensnared in the work of their own hands. Higgaion. And Higgaion is similar to Selah. This likely indicates a reflective musical pause or instrumental interlude. Even in today's modern hymn, when we sing for a specific stanza or for the chorus, we use different type of a music, and in between two stanza, we change the music. Even in the psalms, when they are sung, when you have to pause for the reflection, you change the style of music. The people who are singing in the worship or wherever it is being sung, they know that they have to pause for a reflection on what we just sang. This Higgaion shows that type of pause for reflection. The word is translated as meditation. The next one is Shoshannim. The term is usually interpreted as referring to musical instrument or melody, and it is sometimes associated with the Hebrew word for lilies. It could imply a tune that evokes beauty or purity. So, example of this type of psalm would be Psalms 45, verse 1. The superscription, it would say, for the director of music to the tune of lilies, a Maskil of the sons of Korah. So this type of the Shoshannim is associated with the Maskil, and the psalm is to be sung to the melody known as lilies. So basically, this type of tune that evokes beauty or purity. When it talks about purity in the psalm, that is Shoshannim. Let's look at the next one. This phrase likely means do not destroy. Many psalms, they talk about this phrase, do not destroy, and it could indicate a specific melody or musical style related to a plea for preservation or mercy. So many psalms, they have this type of words like a plea for mercy. For example, Psalms 57, verse 1. In the superscription, it would say, for the director of music, to the tune of Do Not Destroy, a Michtam of David. Again, this is a type of Michtam, what we just saw. The psalm is to be sung to the tune or style associated with the phrase, do not destroy. Let's look at the next one, tashmish. This term may refer to a musical instrument or a specific form of musical accompaniment. For example, Psalm 68, verse 25, superscription, the singers went before, the musician followed after. Among them were the young women playing the timbrels. So the term tashmish could imply a certain instrumental arrangement or accompaniment in the psalm's performance. This is to be sung with a specific instrumental arrangement, with a specific instrument or a form of instrumental arrangement. Let's look at the next one, Michtam. This is also one of the important one. Psalms, for example, Psalm 16 is titled as Michtam of David. The other psalm that are called Michtams are the Psalms 56 to 60. All six of these psalms of David. The possibly related word to Michtam is the Hebrew katam, which means an engraving. If the underlying meaning of Michtam is engraving, then the songs labeled Michtams could have been considered of enough value to be stamped or engraved upon tablets for a long-term preservation. Some scholars see the word Michtam meaning golden, a definition that would similarly assign great value to the song so labeled. Michtam could be a psalm as precious as stamped gold. So basically, this Michtam psalms shows that these are the important psalms or a golden psalms or as precious as a stamped gold. It is closer to the word katam, means engraving. The psalms basically are precious psalms or golden psalms. That is what this word Michtam would mean. Let's look at some of the other ones, which are less common ones. The Sheminith, the Psalm 6:1. This musical term refers to the musical instrument, possibly the 8-string lyre, and can also be found in 1 Chronicles chapter 15, verse 21. So that is Sheminith. The 13th one is Mut Laban, Psalms 9:1. This word can be translated as to die for the sun, which could be the title of the tune used to accompany the song. However, the exact musical use of this term is uncertain. The next one is Higgaion, Psalms 7:1. We are uncertain of the word's meaning. The suggestions ranges from dirge to rapid change of rhythm. Sometimes in a song, we change the rhythm rapidly, and this could mean rapid change of rhythm. The next one is Alamoth, Psalms 46, verse 1. The meaning of this word is uncertain, although it has been suggested that the terms refer to the music's pitch being high, since it's a Hebrew root, refers to young women or virgins. In our modern music also, we change the pitch. It is sometimes high or low. So this type of alamoth, that basically says that this type of psalm is to be sung with a high pitch music, and that is Psalms 46, verse 1. I hope this podcast has helped you understanding some of these musical terms which is mentioned in the book of Psalms. When you understand the meaning of these words, it is easier for the reader to understand what the psalm means or what type of a musical instrument that is being used, or sometimes when it shows the pause for reflection of change in the musical style, or if it is sung with a particular string of instrument. So that is all this terms means. Most of this has to do with a specific style of the musical instrument that is used to accompany the psalm, or sometimes it shows the pause, reflection. Sometimes it shows the importance, purity of the psalms. So I hope this podcast has helped you understanding some of these musical terms used in the book of Psalms. Thank you. God bless.